Captain Veltar stared at the view screen with hungry eyes. The human ship floated dead in space, its metal hull twisted and burned from what looked like a bad fight with asteroids. Dark scorch marks covered the sides, and one engine was completely gone. Perfect, he whispered to himself. The Nexarian patrol ship Shadowhawk had been hunting for easy prey all week. Human technology sold for good money on the black market, and their ships always had the best navigation computers. "Sir, I'm reading one life sign," said Officer Keksmal from his scanner station. "Very weak, coming from the engine room." Veltar's sharp teeth showed in a cruel smile. "Even better. A survivor means we can get access codes before we sell the ship." He turned to his crew. "Next volume, take a boarding party. Bring the human back alive, but don't be gentle about it." The boarding party of 6 Nexarian warriors crossed through the docking tube into the human ship. Emergency lights cast red shadows down the empty hallways. The air smelled of burned metal and something else they couldn't identify. They found the human in the engine compartment, lying on his back under a massive power coupling. Only his legs stuck out, along with the sound of quiet humming. Tools were scattered around him on the floor. "Human," Next volume barked. "Come out now." The humming stopped. Slowly, a young man slid out from under the machinery. He looked to be in his 30s, with black hair and oil stains covering his blue work clothes. Despite being trapped alone on a dying ship, he was smiling. "Oh, hello there," the human said, sitting up and wiping his hands on a dirty cloth. "I'm Kim Woo. Are you guys the rescue team? Because I have to say, you're not quite what I was expecting." Next volume raised his weapon, a sleek neural disruptor that could drop most species with one shot. "You will surrender your ship's navigation data immediately." Kim Woo stood up slowly, still smiling. He was tall for a human, maybe 6 feet, but he looked thin and weak compared to the armored Nexarians surrounding him. "Sorry, but I can't do that. Company policy, you know. Plus, I'm still trying to fix the main engine. Give me another hour, and I might have her running again." "You don't understand." Veltar's voice crackled through Nexvil's communicator. "You are now prisoners of the Nexarian Empire. Surrender your codes or we will take them by force." The human looked genuinely confused. "Prisoners? But I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just an engineer trying to get home." He glanced around at the armed warriors. "Are you guys pirates or something?" Next volume had heard enough. These humans were supposed to be weak, fragile creatures. Time to show this one who was in charge. He aimed his neural disruptor at the humans. Chest and fired. Blue energy crackled across the small space, hitting Kim Woo square in the center of his body. The blast was strong enough to knock out a Nexarian warrior for hours. It should have dropped the human instantly. Instead, Kim Woo stumbled back one step, looked down at the black scorch mark on his coveralls, and blinked twice. "Huh?" he said, rubbing the burned spot with his finger. That actually felt kind of tingly. He looked up at the shocked Nexarians with interest. "What kind of weapon was that?" "The energy output feels like about 4,000 volts, but the neural interference pattern is really interesting." Nexvil's mandibles clicked in fear. "Impossible. That shot should have killed you." Kim Woo tilted his head like he was thinking about a difficult math problem. "Killed me? Really?" He examined the hole in his shirt more closely. "I mean, it definitely got my attention, but killed? That seems a bit much." He grinned at them. "Got anything stronger? I'm actually kind of curious now." The boarding party exchanged terrified looks. Their most powerful personal weapon had done nothing but make the human curious. Officer Textran whispered into his communicator, "Captain, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Veltar's voice snapped back. "The human, ... He's not responding to our weapons, sir." "Then use stronger weapons." Kim Woo held up his hands peacefully. "Hey now, let's not get carried away. I'm sure we can work this out, like civilized people." He paused. You are civilized, right? Because the shooting first and asking questions later thing is usually what pirates do. Nextful fired again, this time with his weapon set to maximum power. The blue bolt hit Kim Woo in the shoulder, spinning him halfway around. He caught himself against the wall, steadied himself, and turned back to face them. Okay, that one had a bit more kick to it, he said, rolling his shoulder like he was working out a muscle cramp. But seriously, is this how your people normally say hello? Because where I come from, we usually start with our names, and maybe shake hands. The Nexarian warriors began backing toward the exit. This was wrong. This was impossible. Humans were supposed to be weak, soft creatures who died easily. This one was treating their deadliest weapons like annoying insect bites. Kim Woo noticed their retreat, and his smile grew wider. Oh, don't leave on my account. I was actually hoping we could talk. It gets pretty lonely out here by yourself. But the Nexarians were already running back to their ship, leaving Kim Woo alone in the engine room, still smiling and still very much alive. 20 minutes after the boarding party ran back to their ship, red alarm lights flashed throughout the Shadowhawk. The screaming siren made every Nexarian on board jump with fear. Security breach in holding cell 7. Officer Kexmel shouted from his station. The human has escaped, Captain Veltar. His eyes went wide. How is that possible? Those bars are made of reinforced titanium. On the security monitor, they could see holding cell 7. The metal bars were twisted into strange shapes, bent outward like someone had pulled them apart with their bare hands. A small piece of paper was stuck to one of the broken bars. Security Chief Next Volum ran to the cell and grabbed the paper. Written in neat handwriting were the words, "Thanks for the workout." The cell was a bit small, but the bars made good exercise equipment. Hope you don't mind the redecorating. Kim Woo find him, Veltar screamed into the ship's communication system. All units, search every room, every corridor. He cannot have gone far, but Kim Woo had gone far. Very far, in fact. He was currently 3 decks down in the weapons storage area, examining a plasma cannon with the interest of someone looking at a new puzzle. Interesting design, he said to himself, running his fingers along the weapon's power conduits. Bit inefficient though. They're losing about 30% of their energy output through heat waste. The sound of running feet echoed through the corridors as search teams spread throughout the ship. Kim Woo looked up from the cannon and smiled. Sounds like they noticed I left. Better keep moving. He picked up the plasma cannon, which weighed about 200 pounds, and tucked it under his arm like it was a small package. Then he started walking deeper into the ship, humming the same tune he'd been humming in his engine room. The first search team found him in Section 7, near the main power distribution center. 6 Nexarian warriors rounded the corner and stopped dead when they saw him standing there, still holding the massive weapon. Hi again. Kim Woo waved with his free hand. Mind if I borrow this? I promise to bring it back when I'm done. The team leader raised his disruptor rifle. Drop the weapon and surrender. Sorry, can't do that, Kim Woo said pleasantly. I'm still trying to figure out how it works. The power coupling is really clever, but the cooling system could use some work. 6 plasma bolts fired at once, their superheated energy searing through the air where Kim Woo had been standing. But the human had moved faster than their eyes could follow, rolling behind a support beam with surprising grace. A second later, his head popped up from behind cover. Come on, guys. My grandmother could shoot better than that, and she's been dead for 15 years. More shots flew toward him. Kim Woo ducked, weaved, and actually laughed as the deadly bolts missed him by inches. To the Nexarians, it looked like he was playing some kind of fun game instead of fighting for his life. This is actually pretty exciting, he called out between shots. It's like laser tag, but with more explosions. Officer Texran pulled out a sonic grenade and threw it toward Kim Woo's hiding spot. The small device landed 3 feet away from the human and exploded with a sound that could shatter bone and liquefy internal organs. The blast wave hit Kim Woo full force, lifting him off his feet and slamming him into the wall behind him. For a moment, the Nixarians thought they had finally stopped him. Then Kim Woo stood up, shook his head like a dog getting out of water, and stuck his finger in his ear. "Okay, that one was actually pretty good," he said, his voice slightly louder than before. "Made my ears ring a bit." What was that? Some kind of sonic weapon. The frequency was around 8,000 hertz, right? The search team stared at him in complete horror. Textrin whispered that grenade should have turned his brain into soup. Kim Woo apparently heard him despite the distance. "Oh, is that what it was supposed to do? Interesting. You might want to increase the amplitude by about 40%. The current setting is more annoying than dangerous." That was when the Nixarians started running. Kim Woo watched them retreat with a puzzled expression. "Where are you going?" "We were just starting to have fun," he called after them. But they were already disappearing around the corner. He looked down at the plasma cannon in his arms and shrugged. "Well, I guess it's just you and me now, big guy. Let's see what other interesting toys they have on this ship." As he walked deeper into the Shadowhawk, Kim Woo left behind a trail of confused and terrified Nixarian warriors. Behind him, emergency. Lights flashed red, alarms screamed warnings, and the ship's crew began to realize they might have made a very serious mistake. In his quarters, Captain Veltar stared at the security monitors showing Kim Woo calmly strolling through his ship, like he owned it. The human was still humming that cheerful tune, still carrying that massive weapon, and still smiling like this was the best day of his life. "What have we done?" Veltar whispered to himself. The hunt was just beginning, but it was becoming clear who was really the hunter and who was the prey. Engineering Officer Telkin rewound the security footage for the 5th time, his hands shaking as he watched the impossible scene play out again. On the screen, Kim Woo walked straight into the corridor where they had set their most deadly trap. The gravity mine was hidden in the floor, designed to create a crushing field of 9 times normal gravity. It was meant to stop armored battle mechs. When it activated, the air itself seemed to shimmer and bend around the human dot. Kim Woo stumbled, dropped to one knee, and for a moment, Telkin thought they had finally stopped him. The mine was pulling, with enough force to flatten a hover tank into a metal pancake. Then Kim Woo put his hands on the floor, pushed himself back up to his feet, and kept walking. The gravity field that should have crushed every bone in his body only made him move a little slower, like he was walking through thick mud. "Who?" they heard him say on the audio feed. "That's some serious gravity you got there. Reminds me of home, actually, maybe a bit lighter." Telkin paused the video and turned to Captain Veltar. "Sir, this is impossible. No known species can survive that level of gravitational force." "Play the rest," Veltar said quietly, his voice filled with dread. The footage continued. Kim Woo reached the end of the gravity field and rolled his shoulders like he was loosening up after a good workout. Then he noticed the mine's control panel on the wall and walked over to examine it. "Interesting setup," he said, poking at the device with one finger. "Localized gravity manipulation using quantum field generators. Pretty clever, but you're using way too much power. You could get the same effect with about 60% less energy if you adjusted the harmonic frequency." As they watched, Kim Woo actually started making adjustments to their trap, improving its efficiency while casual humming filled the corridor. He's helping us," Telkin whispered in amazement. "Keep playing," Veltar ordered. The next scene showed Kim Woo entering the armory. Motion sensors triggered automated defense turrets that popped down from the ceiling. Plasma bolts filled the air like deadly rain, each one hot enough to melt through ship armor. Kim Woo looked up at the turrets with interest, then started walking between the plasma streams like he was dancing. The bolts singed his clothes and left black marks on his skin, but he kept moving forward with that same cheerful smile. "Oh, these are nice," he said, reaching up to examine one of the turrets while it was still shooting at him. "Automated targeting system, rapid fire capability. The cooling system is really impressive." A plasma bolt hit him in the chest, and he looked down at the burn mark. "Though you might want to dial back the heat a little. This is hard on the clothes." He disconnected the turret's power cable and tucked the weapon under his arm like he was collecting souvenirs. "Sir," Communications Officer Rixvan said from his station, "I'm detecting an outgoing transmission from the human ship. He's sending some kind of message." On the main screen, they watched Kim Woo in what used to be their communication center. He had torn apart several control panels and somehow built a working transmitter from the pieces. His fingers moved over the controls with expert skill. "This is Engineer Kim Woo, registration number 2847 Delta," he said into the microphone. "I'm having a small disagreement with some local folks, but I'm fine. Could use a pickup when convenient. Coordinates attached." The message went out on a frequency the Nexarians didn't recognize. Traveling faster than light toward human space, Veltar felt his blood turn to ice. He just called for help. "Sir," Telkin said, studying his scanner readings, "I've been analyzing the human's biology from our sensors. I think I know why our weapons aren't working." "Explain." Telkin brought up a holographic display showing Kim Woo's body structure. "Look at this. His bone density is 3 times normal human average. His muscle fibers are packed much tighter. His organs." Telkin paused, staring at the data. "Sir, he has 2 hearts, and what looks like backup lungs, and his brain shows redundant neural pathways." "What does that mean?" Veltar asked, though he was afraid of the answer. "It means he's built to survive in conditions that would kill most species instantly. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperature changes. Our weapons aren't failing, sir. They're just not strong enough to hurt something designed to live on a death world." On the security monitors, they watched Kim Woo enter their main computer core. Instead of destroying it, he sat down at a terminal and started typing. "What is he doing now?" Veltar demanded. The answer came over the ship's communication system in Kim Woo's cheerful voice. "Attention crew of the Shadowhawk. I've taken the liberty of running a diagnostic on your ship's systems. Your engines are running about 15% below optimal efficiency. Your life support could use a filter change, and whoever installed your navigation computer did a really sloppy job. I've left some maintenance notes in your system files." "You're welcome." Telkin stared at his captain. "He's fixing our ship." "While hunting us through it," Veltar added quietly. They both looked back at the monitors, where Kim Woo had stood up and was now walking toward the bridge, still humming that same cheerful tune. "Sir," Rixvan called out, his voice cracking with fear, "he's almost here." The bridge doors slid open with a soft hiss. Every Nexarian on the command deck turned to look, their weapons raised and ready. Captain Veltar stood behind his command chair, his hands shaking as he gripped his personal sidearm. Kim Woo stepped through the doorway, still wearing his oil-stained coveralls and that impossible smile. He carried 3 different weapons under his arms, like they were shopping bags, and his clothes were burned and torn from dozens of weapon hits. But he looked completely relaxed, like he was visiting friends. "Hi there," he said, waving at the bridge crew. "Sorry it took so long to get here. Your ship is bigger than it looks from the outside. Really nice design, by the way. Who built it?" "Stay back," Veltar shouted, his voice cracking with fear. "We are armed." Kim Woo looked around at the dozen weapons pointed at him and nodded approvingly. "Yes, you are. Pretty impressive firepower, too." He set down the weapons he was carrying and raised his hands peacefully. "But maybe we could try talking first. I'm starting to think there's been some kind of misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Navigation Officer Plixstar squeaked from behind his console. "You destroyed half our security systems, Oh, that Kim. Wu looked genuinely sorry. I didn't destroy them. I just, borrowed a few parts, and I left improvement suggestions for the rest. Your targeting computers were really out of alignment. Tactical Officer Nexral stepped forward, his heavy plasma rifle aimed at Kim Wu's head. What are you? No living thing should be able to survive what we threw at you. Kim Wu tilted his head, thinking about the question. I'm an engineer, 3rd class, with the Terra Colonial Engineering Corps. Pretty standard, really. Though I did get my deep space certification last year. He paused. Oh, and I'm from Kepler 44, to be originally. That might explain some things. Kepler 44 to be. Telkin whispered, his scanner still focused on the human. I've heard of that world. The colony report said it was barely habitable. Barely habitable. Kim Wu laughed. That's a nice way to put it. We used to call it the planet that wants to kill you. 16-hour days, gravity almost twice Earth normal, atmosphere that'll poison you if you breathe it without filters, and storms that can melt metal. His smile grew wider. Great place. To grow up, actually. Really builds character. Captain Veltar felt his legs go weak. You, You're from a death world. Death world. Kim Wu looked puzzled. I guess some people might call it that. We just called it home. Sure, the radiation storms were annoying, and you had to watch out for the acid rain, and the ground shifted around a lot during earthquake season. But every planet has its problems, right? The bridge crew exchanged terrified looks. Engineering. Officer Telkin's voice was barely a whisper. If you're from a world like that, and you said you're standard, what are your soldiers like? Kim Wu's expression grew thoughtful. Well, my sister Park Jimin is in the Colonial Marines. She's always been the tough one in the family. Even as a kid, she could arm wrestle grown men and win. Me, he shrugged. I just fix engines and try not to break things. I'm actually pretty weak by our standards. Never was much good in a fight. Weak. Nexral's weapon trembled in his hands. You walked through a gravity mine that should have crushed you. 9 times gravity? That's only a little heavier than home. Back on Kepler, we used to play sports in Tenji fields for fun. Kim Wu noticed their expressions and tried to be reassuring. Look, I know this seems scary, but humans are pretty peaceful. We only fight when we have to. Only when you have to. Veltar's voice cracked completely. Sure, like when someone threatens our families, or tries to take our ships, or ... Kim Wu's smile faded slightly as he looked around at the weapons still pointed at him. Or when they shoot us and try to kidnap us. The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. For the first time since entering, Kim Wu didn't look friendly. He looked like what he was, a predator from a world where only the strongest survived. But hey, he said, and the warm smile returned. I'm sure this was just a cultural misunderstanding. Your people probably have different ways of saying hello. Where I come from, we usually start with names and maybe shake hands. We don't usually start with the shooting. Communications Officer Rix Van's console started beeping frantically. Sir, I'm detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Large ships, coming in fast. Kim Wu's smile grew even brighter. Oh good, that'll be the cavalry. I was wondering when they'd show up. He looked at the terrified bridge crew with something that might have been sympathy. Don't worry too much. They're probably just here to pick me up. As long as nobody does anything stupid, this should all work out fine. Captain Veltar realized with growing horror that they hadn't captured a helpless human engineer. They had accidentally kidnapped a citizen of a species that treated death worlds as vacation spots. And now that species was sending warships to get him back. The bridge fell completely silent, except for the sound of approaching human ships and one human engineer still humming cheerfully to himself. 3 human ships dropped out of hyperspace like silent shadows against the stars. They were sleek and dark, nothing like the bulky Nexarian vessels. Captain Veltar watched them on his view screen and felt his heart skip several beats. "They're so small," whispered Navigation Officer Plickstar. "Small ships often carry the biggest guns," Telkin replied, studying his scanner readings. "I'm detecting energy signatures I don't recognize. These aren't merchant vessels." The lead ship opened. A communication channel. A woman's voice filled the bridge, calm and professional. "This is Commander Lee Sora of the UHSS Resilience. We're here for our engineer. Please respond." Kim Woo perked up from where he had been examining a control panel. "Oh, that's Sora. She's really nice. Mind if I answer that?" Without waiting for permission, he walked over to the communication station. "Hey, Sora. It's Woo. I'm fine, just having a little chat with the locals." Commander Lee Sora appeared on the main view screen. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and short black hair, wearing a crisp military uniform. Her expression was polite, but cold as she studied the Nexarian bridge crew. "Woo, are you injured?" she asked. "Nope. These folks have been very educational. I learned a lot about their weapon systems." Kim Woo grinned at the terrified Nexarians. "They shot me quite a few times, but I think it was just their way of saying hello." Commander Lee Sora's eyebrow rose dangerously. "They shot you several times. It was actually pretty interesting. From a technical standpoint, their plasma weapons use a really clever cooling system, though the power efficiency could use some work." Captain Veltar stepped forward on shaking legs. "Commander, there has been a misunderstanding. We thought he was a criminal, a smuggler perhaps." "A smuggler?" Sora's voice could have frozen space itself. "You thought a clearly marked Colonial Engineering Corps vessel was smuggling contraband." Kim Woo held up his hands peacefully. "Now, hold on, Sora. I don't think they meant any real harm. Their weapons weren't even set to full power most of the time." He looked at Veltar with something like sympathy. "I think they just don't understand how humans work yet." "Who?" Sora said carefully. "Did you test them?" Kim Woo's smile became slightly embarrassed. "Maybe a little, but only after they started shooting, and I didn't hurt anybody. Well, not badly anyway." Veltar found his voice. "Test us? What do you mean, test us?" Kim Woo turned to face the Nexarian crew. "Well, when someone starts shooting at you for no good reason, you have to figure out what kind of people they really are. Are they just scared and confused, or are they actually dangerous?" He gestured around the bridge. "I could have disabled your ship in the first 10 minutes. Your security isn't really designed to stop someone who knows engineering." "Then why didn't you?" Telkin asked. "Because I wanted to see what you'd do. Would you keep trying to kill me, or would you eventually try to talk?" Kim Woo's expression grew serious. "Some species, when they realize they can't win, they get desperate. They start targeting innocent people or threatening to blow up their own ships. But you guys didn't do that. Even when you were terrified, you kept trying to find a solution." Commander Lee Sora studied the Nexarian crew through the view screen. "Is that your professional assessment, engineer?" "Yes, ma'am. I think they'd make good allies once we clear up this misunderstanding. They're brave, they work well as a team, and they didn't surrender even when they thought they were going to die." Kim Woo looked directly at Captain Veltar. "That takes real courage." Veltar stared at the human in amazement. You were evaluating us." "Standard first contact protocol," Sora explained. "When an engineer gets into trouble with an unknown species, their job is to assess whether that species might be suitable for diplomatic relations. Woo's report will help determine how Earth approaches your people in the future." Kim Woo walked over to the weapons he had collected and started handing them back to the shocked Nex. "Sorry about borrowing these. I left some maintenance notes in your computer system about how to improve their efficiency. Oh, and your ship's engines are running a bit rough. You should replace the fuel filters in the next 1,000 miles or so." 3 hours later, Captain Veltar found himself in the ship's mess hall, sharing what Kim Woo called coffee with the human engineer. The bitter drink was terrible, but somehow it seemed appropriate for this impossible day. So let me understand this, Veltar said. You could have escaped at any time. You could have disabled our ship. You could have called for help immediately, but instead, you let us chase you around and shoot at you for hours just to see what kind of people we are. Kim Woo nodded, taking a sip of his coffee. Pretty much. Though I have to say, your crew handled it really well. You should be proud of them. And now you're recommending us for diplomatic contact? Absolutely. You're good people who just got a little trigger happy. Happens to the best of us. Kim Woo grinned. Besides, my daughter Kim Nari would have been disappointed if I started a war on her birthday week. She's only 8, but she's already much better at conflict resolution than I am. Veltar decided he really didn't want to know what an 8 human considered proper conflict resolution. Some questions were better left unasked as the human ships prepared to depart. Kim Woo left a small gift, complete technical specifications for improving Nexarian weapons and shields, along with a friendly note suggesting they might want to say hello before shooting next time. Captain Veltar kept that note on his wall for the rest of his career, right next to a new regulation he wrote himself. When meeting humans, try talking first.